Hello, my favorite CopperCube people. So, today we're doing another video on how to create your own MMORPG with CopperCube. It will be video number 6. Last time we actually hit a huge milestone. We managed to release proof of concept 1, and it seems everything is working so far, which is great. And starting from today, we're gonna be working on proof of concept number 2. And proof of concept number 2 will include enemies. So this would be the main feature what we are going to be doing. Um, there are also some other stuff which we need to do before we going to make enemies. And the thing is, currently we don't have any collision detection. I mean, we already do, but this is sort of a secret because I've done it offline. Um, and I'll just going to explain how it's done today instead of like live coding. But basically, I've added this little house, which I took from OpenGameArt, and now I'm able to collide with it. So before it wasn't possible. And since other stuff is working with a client model, with a client server model, it means that collision also should be calculated on the server side, not on the client. Um, which means we're going to be using some external libraries for Node.js in order to implement this collision thing. So first of all, collisions, how it is done. Let's just go to our server code and I will explain what I've done here. First of all, I'm using a library called SAT.js. SAT stands for Separating Axis Theorem. Basically, this theorem, this is some math which allows you to find collision between convex polygons. Uh, it also, I think it might work. No, it's not. It's only convex polygons. So basically, this library allows you to detect collision between circles, convex polygons, between different polygons, and between different circles. And I believe for the limited functionality what we are going to have, this is more than enough. How does it work? Let's go to server code and I will explain to you. First of all, I had to modify player class. Uh, if you remember before, it was like, so it had like this X, this Y property, and also it has like target X and target Y. It doesn't have it anymore. So now I'm using circle class from SAT.js library, and circle defines basically a circle in the 2D space. It has its own position, which is defined by X and Y, and it also has its own radius. Radius is set experimentally based on the values, not the values, the size of objects in our 3D world. So this was the first modification. Other things I had to modify accordingly to this change. So first of all, let's just ignore this part for now. It's related to actually like getting house. First of all, I had to modify this update function. Now, instead of target X and target Y, as it was before, I'm creating a new vector, which is also a part of SAT.js class, or not class, SAT.js library. And vector is basically a vector, a 2D vector representation or a point representation. It only have two properties, X and Y coordinates. And also it has a bunch of useful methods, which enables vector math. I have to modify move player accordingly. So now it's operates with all of these like target position instead of target X and target Y, and also we are taking player call position, which previously was just X and Y. But basically, it's not a huge change. It's more of like we was not using library before, and now we're just using some classes from the library. The biggest change is that now we are able to add objects to our world, and objects will be defined either by polygons or will be defined by circles. In this current example, I only have house. I think I'll just go through the whole process of adding a new object to the map. Maybe that way it will be a little more clear how it's supposed to work. So let's just maybe go to our RPG pack 3. This is textures, not something that I want. I always mess up the buttons. So let's go to RPG Park 3 and there will be what should we add? Well, 3 bridge. I don't want to have any bridges. Let's just add probably another house would be a good example. So first of all, let's put it to 0, 0, 0 and then set it to the coordinate where we want it. So let it be here and let's also add the house texture to it like that. I will also disable collision because I don't need it for my purpose. And I'm gonna place it in some place I want it to be, and also maybe I'll just do some rotation for it. So basically we put the house in the position, but currently it doesn't have any collision. So we can move through it with no issues, as you can see. And in order to add the collision, we also need to include to add a specific object, a specific polygon. Polygon. What is polygon? Paint. I need paint. Polygon is basically a shape which is defined by multiple. It's a bad example. Defined by multiple points, and you can think connection of these points are the edges of polygon. Basically, the simplest polygon what we can have is triangle, but in our case, we want to have a rectangle, which will sort of surround the shape of our house. So how do we learn which coordinates this polygon should have? First of all, position is pretty simple. We just take the position of our house, and I'll just start creating it on server side. So I have house 1. Let's just also have house 2 here. It will be new polygon. And for position, we're going to create 2D vector with x represented by x and y represented by real world z, because as I mentioned before, we are using 2D math for our physics calculation, even though on the client we are actually showing a 3D game. So we also need some points which will define our shape. And in order to do so, I didn't find like any good workaround. What I'm doing, I'm just taking these little spheres, set them into a position of the house like that, and then I just move them so they are in the points I think like the collision should happen. So like that. Let's move another one here. Oh, let's move another one probably somewhere here. Maybe here also, like that. So something like, nope, just too far. So like, let's just fix it a bit here and then here. And then also maybe here. I don't think it should be too precise. And also here, something like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to collect all these coordinates of these spheres counterclockwise. So first will be this one. Let's just go to our code. New vector, and it will be like that. So pretty much the same as we've done with with a house coordinate, and we will do like that, and then we're going to have another one, this one. Remember to do it counter clockwise. It's very important, because if you do it another way, another order, nothing will work. And the last one will be that one. Let's just do it really quick. So now I also have an array of game objects. It's used in move player, so in case player target position is not null, which means the player is moving, we also going to check for collision with all the objects which exist in game objects array. Later, when we will have multiple scenes, we will have to have this game objects array and also players array and also everything else for each scene. So, but now it will be like that. And let's just go to our scene and see if collision works. Let's just go here. And as you can see now, I can hit the house, but for some reason, collision is not perfect. So in some cases, you can still go through the walls and so on. And this happens because I forgot to apply the rotation. And rotation is exactly minus 12 degrees. And so we defined house polygon. Now we also need to rotate it the same way as it was rotated in the game. So we just do house to rotate. We will do plus 20. For some reason, I'm not sure, probably it's because axis pointing in different directions in the library, in the SIT library, and in CopperCube. I'm not quite sure, but for some reason we have to do the opposite. So if it was minus 20, then it should be 20. So now, if you just check everything, it should work perfect. I think it is. I think it does work. We also can see that now we have an issue with the camera, because we can just look through the house, which is an issue, and we will fix it in the future somehow. Even though, yeah, we're going to fix it anyway. And now we don't need these spheres anymore, because they were only to detect these like positions. And now we have a house. Let's maybe add something else. I would like to test circle to circle collision maybe. And also, yes, collision detection. So how collision detection happens itself. So what we do, we just test every circle to polygon, and player, so we're just testing player collision box, which is a circle. We testing game object, which game object is just represented by polygon, and we also get this data to a response. And in case both objects in the response are not null, and in this case we just subtract overlay v, which is a vector. So let's just go here and I'll just read how it's called. So it's overlay v. So overlap v. This is the overlap vector. It should be subtracted from the position, so objects A and B are now no longer colliding. And this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm just subtracting it from player position, and that way I'm moving player outside of the polygon shape. And also here, overlap, target position. Basically, yeah, in case overlap is very big, I'm just setting player target position to null, so player sort of stops. In case it's not that big, it can a little bit glide through the world. So, for example, if you just go in near the house and you sort of hit the wall, but not really hard. I mean, let me just maybe just do it. So if you just go in like that and it just hits the wall a bit, just too much, like nope, I can't really reproduce it. So basically the idea is that it stacks anyway, but it's fine, I guess. Basically the idea was that probably it can jam into the corner but still keep moving, and I guess it just need a lower value, but whatever. Okay, and here, all right. I also wonder how do I add, for example, the circle shape. Let's just add another object, maybe mesh. Maybe let's just add a well. Collision. So 0, 0, 0, and let's just add it maybe here somewhere. Not sure if it's a good placement. If it will, no, it won't cover the player. And also, what is for well 1? How do I actually add? The question is, how do I add, let's say, the rounded shapes object? Because for this one, collider of the circle type collider would be probably better and more performant than the polygon, because in current solution, so here I have test circle to polygon all the time, and maybe I can somehow define. So let's maybe just try to debug it and see if we can check what type of, okay, let's not debug it, let's just do it like that. So let's just say no, let's do it the right way. Let's just debug. Not here. If response be not now, here we will just set debugger. And also I don't have the debug configuration set up, so I just do node inspect break, and also I will do index.js. Why do I set it to break? It doesn't matter anyway, and I need like regular Chrome inspect. So currently what I'm doing, I'm trying to access the debugger using Chrome development tools. Yes, I can access it. It's connected. Let's just start everything and let's go to game. What I'm trying to figure out is if I can somehow okay, it has debugger in our place. It's weird. Oh, okay, so because I was debugging something and forgot to disable it. Can I update it on the fly? Am I? Nope, I'm not able. Let's do it again. So let's just go to here. I have debugger in some other place, which is here. I don't need it here anymore. And only at that place, inspect once again. Let's wait until remote target appears. Basically, I'm trying to figure out if it's possible to somehow determine what shape does object have, so we can automatically check polygon versus circle or polygon versus or circle versus circle collision. So here we have so we have like let's just do game object. So it's polygon. Does it say somewhere normal offset points position? And for example, if I say like player dot call, still says circle. So let's say if game object, so we can just check if there is a point properties or not. So if like if it's points, and also if game object points length is greater than 0. In that case, we say that this is a polygon. Let's just do it like that, I guess. Oop. Let's just close the game. Close the debugger. It doesn't matter. Okay. So let's go to our index, remove debug, and also here we will say, for example, if we still need a response anyway. So if game object points and game object points length greater than 0, in this case we have this logic where we test circle versus polygon, and otherwise we're going to test circle versus circle. So it will be test circle circle, and it will be player call versus game object, and we will have a response, and basically all the other stuff will be the same. So we can just maybe move this one, just move here. I think it should work because we have all the properties. Basically we only have this. Yeah, should work like that. Let's just stop the debugger. Let's just bring back our run-def, and we'll see if it's actually working as expected still. So if we can still collide with house, yes. And now we also, oh, what? Oh yeah, it's fine. We can still collide with both houses. Let's just add the shape for the well. First of all, let's find out what is the well size. So let's just do radius 1 sphere, put it to inside the well, put it in position, and let it scale a bit. Let's scale it a bit like that, like that. So it will be like 1.3, I guess. 1.3, 1.3. Yeah, something like that. So it should do. So we will say that the radius is 1.3. And let's add another game object here. So we will say that our well would be new circle with position. We need well position first. Will be this one. And we need the radius. The radius will be 1.3. And we don't need any rotation because it's a circle, so it doesn't make sense to apply the rotation. The only thing which we need to do is we need to now add it to the game objects array. So it will be game objects push, and also let's do well. It's a little bit inconvenient that we have to do this separately, but otherwise it won't work with our client server architecture, unfortunately. Yeah, so now we also have like say a collision which we need with the well, and currently we have 3 objects with collision. And basically, I think you got the idea, and this is the whole point of the video. We just adding the server-side collision for our game. And I think this is a necessary step before we actually start making the enemies, because it's something that is required to be done. Since otherwise enemies will hit the walls, will stuck inside each other, but maybe it's actually fine if they stuck inside each other, but not the walls, right? They will go outside the map and so on. So a lot of stuff which we don't want. So I think it was necessary to add at this point. And let's also, well, last thing which I think is necessary to do, let's also try to measure the performance, if it's performing fine, if it has any effect on performance, because even if the maps will be relatively small and we will have maybe like, I'm not sure how many, like 50 objects on each map, probably it could be affecting the performance in some way. So let's just measure maybe how much time does it take for us to execute the main loop, and if we can see any difference between the player standing and no collision is calculated with then player is moving. There's also one optimization that we can do. We can also distance check between object and player, and in case the distance is too far, we don't really need to calculate we don't really need to do this SAT calculation. It's only required to be done in case you are close to an object, right? So it could also be the optimization. So let's call it main loop, and also let's just do time end main loop, and let's see if what kind of. So now we have plenty of performance, but I mean it's not like the server that I'm using, so it's on my local PC, which is far more, which is far faster than the server I'm using. And in case we are moving, so I think I think it actually I think it actually takes far more time to calculate, right? So we potentially we will have some sort of performance issue with this library, but probably not right now. But it's only 3 objects and it's only 1 player. Let's also add a couple more players to the game and let them go somewhere. Okay, this one will hit the well. No, he didn't. And let's just go there. You go here. You go there. Oh, who is standing? Are you standing? Nope, you're not standing. Everyone is standing. The map is too small. So you go here and you go somewhere else. And from performance point of view, it actually doesn't affect too much. Okay, I think at this point, probably we are still good because it doesn't even takes 1 millisecond. And we have 16. And in case we have the huge performance issues, probably we can simply increase the time of this main loop. So instead of running it, let's say every 60 milliseconds, 16 milliseconds, we can run it maybe like 24 or even 32 or something like that. So it's calculated. So player, not me, I mean not player, I mean server thinks server calculations happens not that often, which is not that good. But from the other hand, we will have much more space for the calculation. And I think at some point we will still require to do so because it's not the only scene which I plan to have. So I plan to have transitions between scenes. So for example, you have little village, then you have little forest or something like that. And you can go between them. And for each scene, we will have to have this either separate interval, or we will have to have the calculation for each of them inside the same function. And currently, we are exceeding 0.1 millisecond, which means that basically, what does it mean? What we're going to have let's say we're going to have 100. If we have 100 scenes like that, it should work, right? It should still work. But anyway, everything should be sort of performant because otherwise everything will lag. But there is no way to know until you actually do it, and this is what we're going to investigate in the future. So I think that's it for this video. It's more of me mumbling, not really coding anything, but I hope you got the idea. Basically, the idea is that we have our game logic on the server side, and for that reason, we also need collision on the server side. So now we're calculating everything on the server. Next time, we're going to start adding enemies, and probably the first step would be quite easy. We just put an enemy and make him walk around the map or something like that. So it will be like one state. But before that, we still need to do refactoring of the client. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it offline or if I'm going to just code it online. Let's see for the next time. All right. Have a nice day. Bye bye.